That was super interesting. Right. Do we need a couple minutes of like a mental break? No? We'll keep going. Okay, let's keep going. Alright, next I would like to invite to stage Nat. Nat is a Upper Division Honors Program student and a McNair Scholars Program student, and has actually presented on this TEDx Talks stage before, so welcome back. And yeah, I'll let you introduce your topic.
Awesome. As she said, my name is Nat Holland, and while a couple of us are going to the bathroom and getting resituated, I actually want to, thank you. I'm gonna scooch you guys up a little bit so that we're sitting in the first 4 or 5 rows. If we can fit. Don't hate me, it's for a reason. Thank you guys. Make sure everybody's sitting next to somebody. Introduce yourself. You don't know who's next to you. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. All right, are we all situated? Thumbs up. Pretty good. Awesome. Well, my name is Nat Holland, and I am a senior here at UNC. I major psychology, and I'm also part of the honors program. And what I spoke on last time, I had the honor of speaking at the last TEDx talk, was empathy. I started out my major research project wanting to explore the nature of empathy, and I had discovered, as I spoke on last time, that the world has a major empathy deficit. What I didn't anticipate learning are things that I am excited to share with you tonight. Now, there's good news and bad news, so I'm going to start with some of the bad news, or some of the surprising news that I've come across, but knowledge is power, and so even the negative news can be positive, but there's good news coming, I promise. So as I started to explore empathy, perfect. In April this year, our Surgeon General, that's him right there, he declared loneliness and social isolation as an epidemic. This was a shock to me, as it might be for you guys as well, but come to find out, the first time he declared this as an epidemic for our country was in 2019, before COVID even began. Our Surgeon General released an advisory, an 82-page advisory, sounding the alarm and alerting us of the danger of social isolation and loneliness right when we're emerging from the COVID-19 pandemic, which required us to socially isolate. This is not merely a personal issue. This is something that is a pervasive challenge that is straining our society. So my confession tonight is that I am lonely, and chances are most of us in this room are lonely too, whether we realize it or not. This is not, as I said, a new issue. This is the decline in social engagement since 2003 until 2020. And so even this is the hours per month that we spend doing these things. And so over less than 20 years, it has taken a significant dip, and that was, again, before the COVID-19 pandemic, which just intensified it. So So even before the COVID-19 pandemic, approximately half of the US population reported loneliness. And why this is so important is because decades of research have revealed the alarming consequences of social isolation, which extend beyond personal discomfort. Loneliness is now considered more harmful to your health than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And it can cut your life short by almost 30%. This is especially important to you guys because the rates are the highest among college age adults in America and across the world. It touches every age group and every socioeconomic class, but you guys are among the highest. You face a unique set of challenges, not only the highest rates of loneliness, but the stigma associated with that loneliness. Rapidly declining social skills and empathy. Paradoxically, your generation, known for their digital connectedness, is less connected than any other generation before you. With 60% with mental health problems, with 80% of college students feeling overwhelmed by the demands of college and the stress that entails. Out of those who have mental health problems, more than half never seek help for those problems. And 75% of all mental health issues are established by the age of 24. Now this shocked me. Research shows that out of the people who reported feeling lonely most of the time or frequently, all the time or frequently, only 20% of those people considered it a problem. So we're gonna I'm gonna explain to you how science shows us how this impacts us. So as we all know, we're made up of our mind and our body, right? And those two interplay profoundly. If we're mentally ill, it can cause physical illness and vice versa. And then there's you over here. And then we know it's not just us, we're also in the world, right? We have society that impacts who we are, who we become, and our experience of the world. So this social connection impacts us psychologically, biologically, and behaviorally, which leads to our overall health. So psychologically, it impacts our sense of meaning and purpose, our level of stress, safety, resilience, and hopefulness. Biologically, which I'm going to explain here in a minute, it impacts the stress hormones released in our body, inflammation, and gene expression. And then behaviorally, it can impact all of these other areas as well. So when we feel stressed, this was so interesting to me. I had never thought of, when we feel lonely, we are stressed. I've never thought of loneliness. I thought of it as sad, but never as stressful. And so when we feel lonely, our body goes into a critical stress response, and it releases the toxic stress hormone cortisol. It releases it at the same level as if you were being attacked by a stranger every time we feel lonely. Now, according to the evolutionary theory of loneliness, this is designed to prompt us when we feel that way to reach out for social connection. Because social connection produces oxytocin, which leads to serotonin, which is designed to calm that cortisol and resolve the issue, meaning that our stress won't be harmful to our overall health. However, that isn't always an option for us. And so a lot of us are walking around in our critical fight or flight state, which means that we're not experiencing life like we could be or should be, and we're not optimally functioning, we're not fully present. So that kind of gives a little bit of light to the physiological effects of loneliness. You guys still with me? Okay. We're almost done with the bad news.
Imagine you're getting ready.
Okay, that's a little bit about that. Okay, so this is a little bit more of the effects on this on society. So in society, this isn't, as I said, a personal problem. This affects our productivity, it affects our economy, it affects inequity and crime pretty much across the board. This is affecting society as a whole in multiple ways. Now, there are multiple contributing factors. As I said, it's not just COVID. COVID kind of compounded an already existing problem. But there are other issues within society, especially amongst your age group. The stigma is a big one. And then there's a few other things. So they all contribute to a vicious cycle. So when you feel lonely, you can feel depressed, right? And when we feel depressed, oftentimes we'll isolate. When we feel ashamed, when we feel stigma, it's a perpetual cycle, which a lot of us can get stuck in very easily. However, the good news is that there's also a victorious cycle, that when we experience healthy connection and healthy belonging, it can build upon itself, and it can create a new culture. It can create a new experience of life. And in this room tonight, the good news is that we actually hold the cure to this epidemic. It is a big deal, it is very serious. It is affecting all of us, whether we know it or not, but we all hold the answer. So just a few things to leave you with. I came up with this acronym because we all want to feel seen and heard. It's very much a need of all of us to feel like we belong, to feel like we're known, to feel like people acknowledge us, like we matter, like we're valuable. And so, and giving that gift away to somebody, making somebody feel seen and heard, research shows that we actually feel seen and heard when we do that. We feel valuable. We're doing something that matters. And so it's a twofold effect. And so it seems deceptively simple, okay? Turn to the person next to you, tell them, I see you. I see you. Turn to the other person, if you have one next to you, make sure everybody has somebody, and say, I got you. I got you. I got you. I see you. That's something we all want, right? So it's so simple, but it's something that we're missing a lot of. And so I came up with this acronym so you can remember it, to SMILE. We got so used to wearing masks for so long, and our body language speaks so volume. Look somebody in the eyes and just take 2 seconds and just smile at them and see what happens. The other thing is engage. I feel like we're kind of the body doubling in our lives. And you guys get props because you're here tonight. You showed up, right? Show up. You're showing up. Keep showing up. As you saw, social engagement has declined. But be at the forefront of that. Be the change makers. Create a new culture as you are. Show up and engage with people. Even if you're an introvert, just start conversations. Say hi. The next one is encourage, which will do something whether you're making a friend for the first time or whether you want to deepen pre-existing connections. Because loneliness isn't just the number of friends you have or the number of connections you have, or as we know, if you can be lonely in a crowd. It's the quality of those connections. and whether those match up to your desired need for connection. And so encouraging can lead away to more depth. And so a simple thing, if you're meeting somebody, a compliment, like that can lead way to just a natural, organic connection with them. But then also speaking positively about those in your life, those who you are close to. Encourage them, tell them the good things that you see in them and what you appreciate about them. And then normalize the need that we have for each other. We live in an individualistic culture where being self-made and self-reliant is praised. However, that is crippling us. It's actually okay to need people. It's okay to not be okay alone, because we're not. We were created and we have evolved as a species because we've had each other, and we still need each other to survive. Whether it's not against like animals and different threats that it was originally, but there are other threats that are invisible that we need to feel like we belong to each other. And we have the power to do that, even here in this room tonight. So I just encourage you to do that. And if you would like to know more information about the epidemic or connections to our mental health resources here at UNC, it's okay to speak up. It's okay to come speak to me at the end, or Lori, or anybody else, because this is real and this affects you guys the most. So I'm so glad you're here tonight, and thanks for letting me share.